The reason you lose your cool in high-stakes moments isn't a personality flaw. It's a pre-programmed neurological reflex. We'll show you the 3-step system for calmness conditioning to rewrite your stress response and remain unshakable where you used to break. Okay, let's really sink into this, because this one idea is the foundation for everything we're about to cover. You know, we're always told that some people are just born calm, that composure is some kind of personality trait you either have or you don't. But the actual science? Well, it tells a completely different story. Composure, that rock-solid ability to think clearly under pressure. It isn't a mood, it's a skill. And even more than that, it's a physiological habit. And just like any habit, you can break it down, understand it, and train it step by step. So this isn't about wishing you felt different. It's about building the physical wiring in your nervous system that makes composure your default state, not something you have to hope for. So how do we train it? Well, first, we've got to tear down this old, faulty model that pretty much all of us were taught. Over on the left, you've got the myth, top-down control. This is the brute force method. It's you trying to use willpower and logic to wrestle your anxiety into submission. It's literally you shouting at your own brain, calm down, get a grip. But the problem is, when the pressure is really on, that's like trying to stop a tidal wave with a bucket. It just doesn't work. On the right, we have the reality, the model we're going to build today, bottom-up regulation. This is way smarter, way more effective. It treats composure like a reflex. Instead of trying to think your way calm, you learn to use your body's own wiring to send a direct signal of safety to your brain, cutting the panic off before it even starts. You're gonna learn to speak your body's language. And to get there, we've got a super clear roadmap. First, we'll dig into the composure paradox, why trying so hard to be calm actually backfires. Then we'll dissect the anatomy of a hijack, so you'll know exactly what's happening in your brain when you lose control. From there, we'll introduce the bottom-up solution, which is our core strategy. And finally, we'll walk through the 3 tactical steps. Step 1, the audit. Step 2, the anchor. And step 3, the inoculation. This is a complete system, from diagnosis to real-time action to building long-term resilience. All right, let's kick things off with the problem that trips up almost everyone. It's this paradox. The more you consciously try to force yourself to be calm when you're stressed, the more worked up you get. It feels totally backward, right? But there's a really clear neurological reason this happens, and understanding it is the first big step. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine a house is literally on fire. The alarms are blaring, smoke is everywhere, and someone's just standing there yelling, "Everybody relax." It's not just useless, it's absurd. That's exactly what you're doing inside your own head. You're using your logical brain to fight a deep, primitive survival response. When stress hits, your body goes into survival mode, period. Telling it to just chill out creates this internal war. Your logical mind is saying one thing, but your body is screaming another. And your brain interprets this internal fight as yet another threat, which just pours more fuel on the fire. You just can't outthink a physical survival instinct. It's simply the wrong tool for the job. So to really get why that top-down approach fails so badly, we need to pop the hood and see what's actually happening in your brain and body during those moments. This isn't some failure of character. It's a predictable biological chain reaction that was designed for a totally different world. Let's break down the anatomy of that hijack. Okay, meet the main character in this whole drama, the amygdala. It's a tiny almond-shaped part of your brain, and you can think of it as your own personal smoke detector. Its only job is to scan everything, and I mean everything, and ask one simple question: is this a threat? Now here's the crucial part. The amygdala is fast, but it is not smart. It evolved to spot lions in the grass, not to handle a tough email from your boss or a looming deadline. To your amygdala, a perceived social threat can feel just as real and dangerous as a physical one, and it reacts with the exact same life or death intent. So once the amygdala yanks that fire alarm, it triggers a chain of commands called the HPA axis. This is the system that connects your brain to your hormones. It's the chemical factory for stress. In a split second, it floods your body with a powerful cocktail of hormones. You get adrenaline, which gets your heart pounding and your muscles ready to go. And you get cortisol, which jacks up your blood sugar for quick energy, but also starts shutting down anything your brain thinks is non-essential for survival, like, say, rational thought. And that brings us to the hijack itself. It's a 3-step cascade that happens in a flash, way faster than you can consciously process. First, the amygdala spots a threat. Second, the HPA axis unleashes that flood of hormones. And third, and this is the absolute key, your prefrontal cortex, the smart, rational CEO part of your brain, gets muted. Blood and energy are literally rerouted away from it. In a real survival situation, this makes perfect sense. You don't need to think, you need to react.
You run from the tiger, you don't stop to think about your options.
The consequence of that shutdown is massive. This is why we choke under pressure. It's why you can suddenly go completely blank during a presentation, forgetting things you knew inside and out just a second ago. Your working memory is offline. Your access to logic and complex problem solving is denied. You basically revert to your most primitive, reactive behaviors because the part of your brain that allows you to be calm and thoughtful has been temporarily taken out of the picture. Your best self is just not at the real anymore. Okay, so if we can't use our logic to stop this cascade once it starts, what's the move? We have to intervene from the bottom up. We shift our focus from the mind to the body. Instead of trying to convince our brain that we're safe with our thoughts, we use our own physiology to send it a physical signal that it absolutely cannot ignore, a signal that says the threat is over. We're going to use the body to change the brain. And the key player here is something called the vagus nerve. It's this massive nerve and information superhighway that runs from your brain all the way down into your chest and gut, connecting to your heart and your lungs. Think of it as the master control wire for your body's chill-out system, your relaxation response. And the activity level of this nerve is called vagal tone. If you have high vagal tone, your body's biological brake is strong. You can calm down quickly after stress. Low vagal tone means you get stuck in that revved-up state. So at its core, calmness conditioning is really just a training program to strengthen your vagal tone, giving you a powerful brake you can hit whenever you need it. So how do we put this into practice? Let's get tactical. This brings us to our first actionable step. And like any good strategy, we start with diagnosis before we jump to a solution. This first step is all about developing a super sharp awareness of your body's earliest, quietest warning signs. You can't hit the brakes if you don't even know you're speeding up. So the crucial first step is to identify what we call your stress signature. This is your personal tell. It's that unique set of tiny physical changes that happen in your body the second your amygdala starts to get antsy, long before you're in a full-blown panic. The whole goal here is to become a detective of your own internal state, so you can catch that rising tide of stress when it's just a ripple, while you still have full access to your rational mind. Here are some common ones, but yours is going to be unique to you. For some people, the first tell is their breathing gets shallow and moves up into their chest. For others, it's a slight tightening in their jaw or their shoulders. Maybe you feel a flush of heat in your face or your neck, or maybe you notice you're clenching your fists. Your job is to just audit yourself with no judgment. For the next few days, just pay attention. When you feel that first little hint of pressure, what's the very first physical thing that changes? The goal is to catch yourself in that yellow zone, while your smart brain is still online and can make a choice. Okay. Once you can reliably spot your stress signature in that yellow zone, you need a tool you can pull out in that exact moment. That brings us to step 2, the anchor. This is your manual override, a specific physical action you take to stop that hijack cascade dead in its tracks and turn on your body's relaxation system on command. So the big question is, what's the fastest, most effective way to do that? How do you physically tell your brain, hey, stand down, it's a false alarm? Well, it's not with positive thinking. It's with a very specific pattern of breathing that directly hacks your nervous system. This isn't just a relaxation technique. This is a full-on physiological intervention. The technique is called the Physiological Sigh, and research has shown it's the fastest known way to voluntarily slow your heart rate and calm your nervous system. Here are the mechanics. It's 2 inhales through the nose, followed by 1 long exhale through the mouth. The first inhale is big and deep. The second one is a short, sharp top-up. Now that second little inhale is the secret sauce. It pops open the tiny air sacs in your lungs that collects when you're stressed, maximizing how much carbon dioxide you can offload. Then you just let out a long, slow, complete exhale through your mouth. Let's try one right now. 2 quick inhales in, and a long, slow exhale out. That's it. It's a biological reset button. And this is exactly why it's so incredibly powerful. It works on a purely mechanical level. That long, slow exhale is what directly stimulates your vagus nerve. That nerve then sends a signal straight to your heart to slow down. As your heart rate drops, that message travels right back up to your brain and tells your amygdala, hey, if we had time for a breath that long and slow, we can't be running from a lion. You can stand down. It's a physical signal of safety that your primitive brain simply can't argue with. And because it's physiology, not psychology, you don't even have to believe in it for it to work. You just have to do it. Now, having the tool is one thing, but being able to actually remember and use it when you're under real fire is something else entirely. And that brings us to our final and honestly most important step, inoculation.
This is where we go from just reacting to stress to proactively building the muscle of composure so that over time, you need that rescue tool less and less.
To build this muscle, you have to practice. And we do this through controlled exposure to what we call micro-stressors. These are just small, manageable doses of discomfort. It could be finishing your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. It could be a 60-second all-out sprint on a bike. It could be practicing a presentation with a timer ticking down. The goal isn't to make yourself miserable. It's to intentionally activate your stress response just a little bit. And then, this is the whole point, practice using your physiological sigh to consciously bring yourself back to calm. You are literally teaching your nervous system that alert doesn't have to become hijack. And the result of all this training is a huge increase in what psychologists call distress tolerance. And honestly, this is the real superpower. It's the trained ability to feel the physical sensations of stress, the racing heart, the tight chest, and not get thrown off your game. You widen your margin for error, you create this crucial gap between a stressful trigger and your response. And in that gap, that's where you find your ability to think clearly, to lead, and to perform at your absolute best. This is the hallmark of elite performers everywhere.
So let's bring it all together. The Calmness Conditioning Protocol is a simple 3-step loop you can practice over and over. First, you audit your internal state and get really good at spotting your unique stress signature early. Second, the moment you spot it, you anchor yourself with 1 to 3 rounds of the Physiological Sigh to manually calm your system down. And third, you proactively inoculate your system by practicing this whole cycle under controlled stress, building your resilience over time.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about feeling less stressed. It's about performance. Your ability to do deep, focused work is directly tied to your ability to manage your internal state. When your brain is hijacked by stress, focus is impossible. But when your nervous system is regulated and calm, focus just happens. It's the natural result. So remember, productivity isn't about doing more. It's about mastering systems that make focus effortless.